Turning now to our top story, the state funeral of Kim Jong-il. Well, Simon Cockerell works for the Koryo Tours, an independent travel company specializing in tours to North Korea. Well, he's been to the country more than 100 times. Simon joins us now live from Beijing. Good to have you with us. You know, we see a lot of the funeral from state television pictures and images only. How are, I guess, average North Koreans taking this, and how much do they really know about what's going on?
Well, they don't know a great deal about Kim Jong-il, despite the fact that he was on TV all the time. His picture is in everyone's living room, everyone's office, and he was always in the newspaper. These were just stories about his visits to places, and as people were growing up, they would have heard stories about his exploits as a youth, but they didn't know, for example, that he was sick. This was only reported for the first time on the announcement of his death. So this would have been a surprise for most people, even though he wasn't a young man by any means. So it would have been a great shock for the average person there.
All right, so if you're saying that, you know, they wouldn't have known a lot about him, and yet we're seeing pictures of great outpourings of grief. The tendency, at least outside North Korea, is for many people to simply dismiss that as staged. From what you've seen going in there frequently, how much of it is really genuine, I guess?
Well, it's obviously impossible to put a number on it, to be honest, and obviously there's a degree to which this is a performance of grief to show the world and to show the domestic audience there. But let's not discount the fact that Kim Jong-il was a ubiquitous presence in people's lives there, as I mentioned, constantly on the television, constantly in the newspaper, on the walls of every building. So it was somebody who they were used to having around, and now it's something which unexpectedly to them at least has been just taken away.
All right, you're one of the few outsiders, I think, to have gone to North Korea over 100 times. Tell us a little bit about life there. I mean, for the average North Korean, is it just a struggle between starvation and repression, as it's sometimes seen outside of the country?
Well, there's clearly no such thing as the average North Korean any more than there's an average anybody from anywhere else, and there is a plurality of different experiences of life there. Generally what we see when we take people on tour there are the lifestyles of people in Pyongyang and some certain places outside. We don't go into the deepest, darkest areas of the countryside where most reports and rumours that you hear about the country come from. But the fact is that obviously, like a lot of developing countries, there's a whole range of lifestyles that people have, from those of the privileged, the very privileged, mostly who live in Pyongyang, down to people who live in some decent areas of the countryside, down to the majority of people who live lives that we don't know much about, despite what we may hear and read. We just know that it's very, very difficult for them, and food insecurity is a major problem year on year. So the situation there for most people is very difficult, but I don't think it helps to paint with such broad strokes to say that it is the same for everybody. Actually, there is a range there.
All right, it's been good to get your perspective on that one. Thanks so much, Simon Cockerell.